Alright there, geezers, Jules here for FGS, home of the Future Games Show, and if I look a little more rat-eyed than usual, well, it's just because your boy has returned from Gamescom 2023, and to say that I'm a little bit tired is like saying that the Hindenburg might be getting a low Yelp review, aka it's a bit of an understatement. However, in addition to meeting some fantastic content creators and filming some deliriously silly short-form content and first impressions, the gang and I have played a ton of new video games. Now, many of these games, they're not even out yet, they're not even close to being released. So, in the interest of stuffing your wish list to the breaking point, I've gathered the group here to talk about the titles that you absolutely want and that we've absolutely played. With this in mind, I'm Jules, he's Matt, he's Josh, he's James, and these are the 8 most anticipated video games we've played. Number 8, Sandland. Or known as Sandland. I'll probably do it without saying Sandland so annoyingly. Sandland. Now, if ever there was a crossing of Venn diagrams that I never knew I needed, then it was the worlds of Dragon Ball and Mad Max colliding in video game form. Yet I'm so glad that they did, as Sandland is shaping up to be a charming and beautiful title with a ton of personality. Coming from the mind of legendary manga artist Akira Toriyama and being brought to life by ILCA, or ILCA if you want to be anal about it, and Bandai Namco, Sandland tells the tale of a demon prince called Beelzebub, who's been drafted in to help a nation deprived of water by a greedy and tyrannical king. Now what follows is a cavalcade of tanks, thieves, and of course that ever-present sight of rolling desert wastelands. And it was here in these dusty dunes that I got my first taste of Sandland, namely as I was fleeing from a giant dune-like worm. What followed was a brief exploration of the small town and the surrounding area before going into battle against a bandit leader. Now, alongside the gorgeous visuals of which ooze that Toriyama charm, the combat feels so robust and easy to get to grips with that I cruised along the sand, blasting enemies with my tank turret and peppering others with machine gun fire before then hopping out to engage them in simple beat-em-up fisticuffs. And you know what? It made for a breezy goddammit experience. In the shadow of Tears of the Kingdom, many open world games are looking to reinvent the wheel, but Sandland forgoes this and embraces the tank track instead, offering up open world elements that might not feel unique but are done with such competency that it's like the refining of a precious gem. Now I for one can't wait for this to come out, as the idea of tank battles, fist fights and resource management all set inside a truly beautiful open world, well, it really is appealing.
Number 7, Persona 3 Reload. I'm a huge Persona fan, so it's not surprising to hear I'm keen on Persona 3 Reload. Playing the game at Gamescom, I went in expecting it to feel closer to Persona 5, but I was wrong, the silly goose that I am, because the game is undoubtedly Persona 3 in look and feel. It's a lot prettier, of course, and there are some welcome quality of life improvements, but the moment you hear the soundtrack, you're immersed. From the energy that kicks in when Mass Destruction plays, to the sweet relief of hearing Want to Be Close after beating a boss, yes, the preview build had a boss fight, every note resonated within my soul. For newcomers, Persona 3 Reload has the makings of a first-rate RPG with style and substance to rival any title. For returning veterans like myself, the glow-up is so well executed that you won't want to miss out. Don't get me wrong, the original game broke my heart beyond repair, but I'm ready to get hurt again. Persona 3 Reload is set to release February 2nd, 2024, coming to PC, PS4 and 5, and Xbox consoles.
Number 6,
Pacific Drive. There's 3 things your game can do that will make me instantly fall head over heels. The first is being a twitchy, tough as nails action game with instant restarts, but Hotline Miami already exists, so we'll focus on the other 2 things. First, if you give me a ship or vehicle that's my primary mode of transport, second home, and needing constant upgrading and maintenance, I am in. Second, give your game a spooky, supernatural or sci-fi setting, extra points if I'm exploring stretching forests and abandoned places, and oh boy, I'm so in. All this to paint the picture that when I first learned about Pacific Drive, my eyes popped out of my skull and clattered to the ground like ivory. This is the debut title from Ironwood Studio, but the studio is composed of a team with some pretty hefty credits under their belts. It has you driving through a Stalker-esque zone full of strange and surreal anomalies that encompasses a good portion of the Pacific Northwest. The game's genre is a self-described roguelite, with no excursion quite being the same, but always pushing you forward. Each run starts and ends in your garage, where you can repair and upgrade your car as you try to unravel a long-forgotten mystery that I don't want to get too much into here. You'll find out more when the game is in your hands. It's sadly just been delayed to an indefinite time in 2024, so the version I played was still a little rough around the edges, but I can see this being a game I come back to over and over again. I want to see everything the Olympic Exclusion Zone has to offer, and I find myself often wondering if the tone of the game is going to become more roadside picnic or annihilation. Either way, the little time I got to play left me itching for more.
Number 5, The Spirit of the Samurai. I am a sucker for a game with a unique animation style, and I have been eating well these past few years. From Cuphead to The Artful Escape and back again to Cuphead. That isn't Cuphead? Are you sure that isn't Cuphead? That really looks like Cuphead. Regardless, small teams making banger games that look absolutely stunning is music to my ears. And so, I haven't been able to take my eyes off of The Spirit of the Samurai since it was unveiled in the June Future Game Show showcase. And so, when I got an email and an offer to play the game early at Gamescom, I hit reply faster than Jules hitting add to basket on the Game Workshop website. The Spirit of the Samurai is a single-player, stop-motion style 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania fighter. Think Old Boy meets Ghost of Tsushima meets those 2D sections from Sifu. But it isn't just a pretty face with no substance. All of the combat is controlled with the right stick, which I thought would be truly awful. But after 5 minutes of hands-on time, I was in love. By attaching all of the combat to the right stick, it forces you to be more thoughtful and methodical than just hitting X over and over again and hoping for the best. It really helps to put you in the shoes of the samurai as you hack, slash, dodge, and shoot your way through these monstrosities. And to add even more depth and complexity to that samurai combat, you can swap moves out within your combo string, allowing you to develop your own fighting style, similar to Absolver, which was a game from the team behind Sifu before Sifu ever came out, and it didn't get enough love when it launched. All of that deep combat will be broken up by stunning cutscenes telling a seemingly silent story and stealth platforming sections where you play as a cute cat or weird spirit thing or as yet unannounced fourth protagonist of this game, maybe? I didn't get an in-depth look at the story in my short hands-on time, but the creature design and art style has me hooked and I cannot wait to play more and see more. Give me more of it right now. If you love fighting games and classic samurai cinema, or just love cute kittens, then you're going to want to keep an eye out for The Spirit of the Samurai. And the team told me that they're looking to release the game in 2024, but they seemed a little tentative about saying that, so keep your fingers crossed with me, everybody, so that we can play this game hopefully very soon.
Number 4, Foamstars. When it was announced this year during a PlayStation showcase, I think most of us reacted the same way. So it's Splatoon with a bit of Fortnite energy. Having now played the game, I'm happy to say that Foamstars is very much its own thing. Playing in teams of 4, the objective of the game mode we played, Smash the Star, was to eliminate opponents in deathmatch style until you deliver 7 knockouts. At that point, your team's best performing member gets promoted to VIP. This makes you stronger in the fight, but once you're out, it's game over. The game type made for some interesting decision making. As the VIP, do you hang back and bait their best player, or do you charge in and rely on your newfound strength? I actually had the game's producer, Kosuke Okatani, sat behind me during the preview session, so I felt duty bound to charge in, and the result was fantastic. The carnage, the eliminations, the foam, everything combines to create a compelling combat experience. Of course, there will always be comparisons with Splatoon, but Foamstars does enough to feel individual, and the pace of matches makes it moorish and easily digestible. Unlike the in-game foam, I imagine. I mean, would you drink the cursed milkshake? Foamstars will come to PS4 and 5, but there's no release date yet.
Number 3, Alan Wake 2.
Can I be real with you? Can I be really real with you? I don't love Alan Wake.
Do I know you? I know you from somewhere.
And if we're being really, really real for real life, I haven't actually played Alan Wake 2, but I did see almost an hour of gameplay behind closed doors at Gamescom, and it's now my most anticipated game of the year. Why don't I like the first game? Well, I think the whole first episode is flat, shallow, and drags, and even when it picks up, it has a few dips. But I'd still rate that game a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So, do you know why I'm so harsh on it? Because I adore everything Remedy puts out. I even really enjoy Quantum Break. Max Payne is one of the best games on the PS2 and a shooter that holds up indelibly now. And Control is one of my favorite games of all time, a masterclass in superpowered shooter gameplay and perhaps the best art design in any game ever etched into my hard drive. And fans will know that Control's second DLC is Alan Wake themed, setting up not only this sequel, but an interconnected Remedy-verse where Alan Wake and Control take the forefront. But I'm not saying this just because I want Alan Wake to be Control 2. I'm saying it because I don't think people are quite ready for what this game is going to do. Every new game Remedy puts out pushes what you think is possible in the presentation of the world, story, and gameplay. And what's more, they're leaning away from their action shooter roots this time. And Alan Wake 2 will, by Remedy's own admission, be a full-on survival horror game. And as someone whose favorite games of all time include Dead Space 2, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil, this is about to send me over the edge. Alan Wake 2 picks up many years after the credits rolled on the first game, and the Dark Place has taken a lot from our titular character. We see manifestations of the Dark Place torment and trick him as he tries to write his new story that might just help him get out of there. And you will help him, putting scenes and themes and plot beats together on a plot board to bring the story to life. And the more of the story you uncover, the closer to the real world Alan gets. But little does he know that the further out of the Dark Place he goes, the more of his manifested stories leak into the real world with disastrous consequences. The results are cults, characters, and a real bad time for FBI hotshot Saga Anderson, who is the second playable character in this game. Trying to find out why evidence of the return of a mysterious writer named Alan Wake is coinciding with the vicious cult of the word appearing. One thing I really like on a gameplay level is the select menu. Whenever you enter it, it's not actually a menu, but a whole different space that lets you see previously collected notes and put together pieces of your puzzle. Metatextually, I like the touch that Alan goes from the dreaming world into the writer's room on Cauldron Lake, moving him closer to the real world in these moments of downtime, whereas Saga Anderson goes to her mind palace, shifting closer to the dreaming world. Speaking of the dreaming world, though, whilst Saga explores the familiar forested environments that littered the first game, Alan sees manifestations of New York, where he once lived with his wife and did most of his writing. It looks like there'll be plenty of alleys and buildings to explore off to the side, aided by the writing mechanic that can change the environment around you, and the light shifting mechanic that can instantly change entire rooms and open new passageways. What I'm saying is that this is a survival horror game where you play as someone tormented by their past, where in part you explore a waterside town surrounded by forest, but are beset upon by an industrialist nightmare otherworld that's a manifestation of someone's mind brought to life by nefarious supernatural forces. And with no release date on any of the new Silent Hill games, I've got my eye eagerly trained on this. Calling it now, we've already seen Artie from Control in some of the released footage of the game. 2/3 in, Jesse Faden is going to show up, it's gonna happen. But honestly, based on what I've seen, I wouldn't even mind if it didn't.
Number 2, Helskate. If, like me, you miss the days of listening to Bring the Noise as you try to remember how to spell skate while not ending your 7-figure combo, then you might want to keep an eye on Helskate. Due to release into early access next year, Helskate is a classic skating game at heart, with a Hades-style roguelike core gameplay loop. How on earth does all of that come together? Well, that is the challenge that the team is currently trying to solve, and the reason that the game will be launching into early access. It's a fantastic concept that already honestly fits together a lot better than it has any right to. Your roguelike hub world is a shopping mall full of NPCs to chat to, skate shops to buy new skateboards from which act act as your weapons, and tattoo parlors where getting new ink gives you permanent buffs that roll over into each new attempt. Much of what I got to play was still in the very early stages of development, but the most important bit for me was that all of that muscle memory from Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Thug instantly came back. Going from flip tricks to grinds to manuals and then mashing through every possible variation of manual I could think of felt exactly like I remember it from the Thug days. And that's no surprise, as the game director for Helskate worked on Tony Hawk's Underground 1. And if you want to find out more about that, you can watch the developer interview we did with Steven, the director of Helskate, linked in the description. All of that said, the added combat and stat buffs that you'll pick up along your run all encourage you to vary up your playstyle. You can't just rely on the exact same Tony Hawk combo that you can pull off in your sleep when you're faced with a boss that you'll need to grind with a specific grind variation if you want to power up your heavy attack before going after its weak spots. Don't get me wrong, this game has a lot going on and could be daunting for skating newbies, but the team are incredibly passionate about listening to the community. And I bet 6 to 12 months after the game launches into early access and it's patched and tweaked, people will be speedrunning this roguelike for a long, long time.
All right, Anton, first try. Here we go.
And number 1, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now, I know it might be a little obvious by now, but I have a slight obsession with Games Workshop and the Warhammer franchise, namely because I own at least 10 different armies, have regular arguments with my girlfriend over where to store it, and of course have a full-blown second channel called Live and Let's Dice, where I provide weekly battle reports and painting guides. Yes, I am gonna plug it. Plus there's the fact that I always wax lyrical any chance I get about the video games that GW and its affiliates are pumping out, and this streak continues here with the absolute barnstormer of an experience that I had with Space Marine 2. From the moment that I was given control of Captain Titus and began marching towards the front line of a death world in the grips of a Tyranid uprising, I was utterly stunned by both the sheer amount of writhing bodies on screen at once and the fidelity of the battle-worn armor, the mud that flecked from heavy war machines as they lumbered through the marshes, and how the light danced off of my Emperor-smooched armor. Thankfully, this game plays as well as it looks, providing that meaty combat that Gears of War veterans will love, with an added homage to the likes of Dynasty Warriors, because now you're battering wave after wave of Tyranid warriors. Now, the various forms of bolt gun all carry a kick and makes it feel like you're actually shooting rocket-propelled rounds, and the melter gun, well, just come closer. Come in. It annihilated everything. No trace. Like deleting your browser history. Adding to this is an expanded melee system that allows for parries and counters, which you will definitely need if you're to ever survive for long. Now, while the off-floor demo I played didn't allow for co-op, the final game is going to ship with the ability for a team of 3 to take to the field. And trust me, you're gonna be one of pulling your weight here, as the Tyranids, well, they were relentless throughout my hour-long play session. I left this demo feeling relieved more than anything else, as this is a title I had such high hopes for, and it somehow managed to exceed all of them. Plus, with a few narrative nods to what's on the horizon, Titus's path ahead, plus his crossing of the Rubicon to becoming a Primaris, is going to be an interesting and very dark one indeed. Hell yeah, brother. Whew, and there we go, my friends. Those are the 8 most anticipated games that we've actually played. Let us know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, and if you are excited about them, which games and why? Tell me now. I demand your answers. Please. Please. And if you want to follow us on the social medias, you can do so here. There's too many social medias indeed for all of the lovely people that have collaborated with me on this video. So I want to give a big shout out to the rest of the team as well. Big love. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Hope that you're treating yourself well with love and respect, my friend, because you deserve the bloody best, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. You are a massive ledge, all right? All right? All right? All right? All right? All right? Okay, all right. Yeah, bye. See ya. I've been Jules. This is FGS. Bye.